Hello everyone, my name is Alberto Bello and we're Group 10. Our application is called Multistudy. Our goal was to make an application useful for everyone, but especially students. It offers 4 features that students use commonly: a planner, a calculator, a timer, and a notepad. Our goal was to combine all of these features into just one place to provide efficiency while saving valuable time. Now we will have an overview of the app before going in depth into each functionality and the steps. Here I already have the application open. Detailed instructions on how to clone the code from the GitHub repository will be in the repository, and the link will be in the description. My contribution was setting up the initial skeleton view of the application, as well as helping the other teammates with fixing their code as well as testing it to ensure everything worked correctly. This is the initial view of the app. This is what the user will see when they open Multistudy for the first time. We have the four functions that we explained before: the planner, notepad, timer, and calculator. And we'll go ahead and try the planner first. Alright, here's the planner function. The user is able to add reminders or notes and then assign dates to those notes. So for example, I'll go ahead and make a reminder that says this is my first reminder, and I'll go ahead and assign it for this upcoming Saturday. I'll go ahead and enter a time. So for example, 5 p.m. and then I will go ahead and select add. Now it will go ahead and show up here, and then as you can see, we have a little calendar here where the user will be able to go to each different day in the calendar to see what reminders they have added for that specific date. So for example, if I go to Friday, the day before where I added the note, there will be nothing there because I have not added anything. But if I go back to Saturday, the note that I made will still be there. Now another feature that the planner has is that the user is able to delete notes that they have previously added. So for that, all you have to do is enter the reminder. So I will enter, this is my first reminder. I will enter the time, and then I will go ahead and delete it. And now it's gone. So that is another function of it. Next, we will go ahead and go back to the main menu, and now we'll go ahead and try out the notepad. When the user clicks on the notepad, they have 2 views right here. One on the left where it says notes for, and then it will display the current date. And then the user is able to add notes on the left. So for example, I will add, this is my first note. And then when the user clicks on add notes, it will add them and they will appear on the right side. Let me add a second one. This is a second note. And there it is again on the right. Next, we will go ahead and test the timer function of the app. So when you click on timer, this is what the user will see. You're able to increase the hours, as well as the minutes, as well as the seconds. So let me do, just to test it out, let me do a timer for 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 10 seconds. So when I click on start, just like a regular timer, it's gonna start counting down. If the user wants to pause it, they just have to click on the numbers. Okay, and then clicking on reset, you're just gonna reset the whole thing. Alright, last but not least, we will go ahead and try the calculator function. It is a scientific calculator, so this is what the user will see when they open it. And the user will be able to do simple stuff from addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division to more complicated stuff such as working with trigonometric functions. As you all can see right here, we have a sine, cosine, and tangent. So let's go ahead and try some of the functions. Let's do an easy one. So for example, 10 plus 20, which will give us 30, as we can see up here. And let's try a more complicated one. For example, we can do 6, tangent of 6, and we will get that as a result. Let's try a few more. Okay, and that is the calculator function. And that is an overview of the whole application. Next up, each remaining member of the team is going to introduce themselves and explain a little bit more about each of the functions and the steps that it took to achieve what they do.
Hey everyone, my name is Aaron Ramirez. I'm a junior majoring in computer science, and I'll be explaining the planar controller as well as the planar model and how they interact together to create the planar view. So to start off, we have a generic home handle which takes us back to the main screen. Following up with that, we have the date pick method which the user uses to add or remove tasks from a selected date. This sets the text area inside the view to the chosen date based off the picked date from the calendar. Afterwards, it clears the text area and displays any previously written task for the chosen day. Add task calls the add event method inside the planar model in order to add a new task and save it. Afterwards, it clears the text area once again and displays the newly added task. And lastly, remove task calls upon delete event inside the planar model to delete a task and then refresh the text area to display the edited task for one day. The method setDay takes the calendar string from the datePick method in the controller class and then formats the string into integers to be used with the Java util day of week to convert from a date to a day of the week. It then returns a string of the day. The printDay method takes in two strings, one representing the date, the other representing the file name to be written to. It does the same conversion as setDay and formats the date into integers. I use FileReader as well as a buffered reader to loop through the file, and while reading through the file, it tests if the line equals the correct date. If it does, we add the current line to the returning string variable. Continuing on with the loop, we test again to make sure we aren't at the end of the file. If we aren't, we check to see if the line read is not the correct date to be read, or if it's null. If it's either of those, we exit. If not, we add the line once again to the returning string and repeat until the end, afterwards returning the string containing the task for the day. Add event takes in multiple strings, one containing the date to be formatted, a file name, time for the task, and task details. I use FileWriter and BufferedWriter as well as the reader options in order to add a task. Firstly, we check to see if the first or second line is empty. If it is, we assume the file is empty and write the first task for the given day. Next, we check to make sure the line is not empty and the task hasn't been created already by checking the boolean event exists, which is set to false by default. Afterwards, we check again if the line read is empty. If it is, we're at the end of the file and we write the task event, then flush and exit. If the line read happened to equal the date and event, then we flag it and set event exists to true, exiting the loop. Delete event takes in multiple strings, one containing the event, the date to be formatted, and one containing the file name. Once again, I used a buffered reader and a buffered writer in order to read in the task file and write out to a temporary file. Essentially, the loop runs through the file containing the tasks and checks to see if the line read equals the date and the event to be removed. If so, it skips writing these two lines and continues on with reading and writing. After this loop is completed, I rename the temporary file to the main file passed in and delete the old file. And lastly, schedule event takes in a string for the time and another for the task details. Here I created a string array and assigned the first two indices to the time string passed in, split by a colon delimiter. Then I assign event description to the string details, afterwards combining and returning a new string named event, containing event description and event times two indices.
Alright, hello everyone, my name is Michael Obi. I am a computer science major, and today I'm going to be explaining my calculator program that I've created here in Java Eclipse. So over here is the model for the program. This model has two classes, calculate binary and calculate unary, for different types of operations. For calculate binary, it takes in two float numbers and a operator string, and it does a switch case function here, so that for each different button that I have in the calculator, it does a different function for each string. So I have plus, minus, multiplication, and division. I also have mod or percentage and x over y for both binaries. So that's it for that. And then for unary, I have square root, sine, cosine, tangent, log ln, squared, I have cubed, and factorial, and e to e over x. or square x. Sorry, my bad. And over here on the calculator controller, this is where I have two float numbers, both set at 0. The operator string that takes in the string of the button so that it knows which button, which string on the button it will take input from. And for each of those buttons, it will do either binary operate or unary operate. And for the first one, I have here is number input. This one takes in the number input from each of the buttons. And I also have number clear, which clears any number that is typed into the text field. And then I also have input decimal, which inputs a decimal only once. So so let's say I type in a random number. If I type in a decimal after it, it will not type in another decimal after that first decimal is already placed. And then I have switch sign here, which switches the sign of a number that is input. So let's say I input a random number like 46. I can type in the button or press the button and it will switch the sign.
Hi, my name is MD Hamja and I'm a computer science student, and I am working on this group project called Multistudy App. I did the Notepad part of this project, which help you to create a new node, also add the date and time when you are creating the node. In here you can add any kind of study node, you can also edit your node, you can also remove your node, which help you to track your more important nodes. And that is the Notepad program I have created. Thank you.
Hello, this is Reem Salem. I was working with group number 10. We had the planner. There was around 4 sections. I had the timer part. So the part that I did, it had was a model class. It had 3 variables, the 3 main variables, which is the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. And there also was a check function to just make sure there's no negative numbers when it comes to the seconds or the hours or the minutes. And also for the minutes and the seconds to not go over the number 60. And after it goes to 60, it goes back to counting back again from 1 till 60. So the numbers were supposed to every second that passes, it adds 1, and that also is done by importing the timer from the Java library. And there were 2 buttons coordinated with the timer. One was to pause, and the other one was to reset, get it back to 00 to start again. So that's basically what the whole timer is. I would say the hardest part was to get the timer to count in a descending order instead of an ascending order. So whatever number the person adds in, it would count from like 10 minutes or 5 minutes to go down from 10 to 9 to 8 to that with the seconds. So I think that was the hardest part, to get it all aligned. Other than that, it worked pretty well, and everybody helped each other with the group. Everybody in the group helped each other when there was a problem or something. So yeah, that was all. Thank you.
Hello again, everyone. So the main challenge that our team faced when creating this application was the deadline. Our team was on track to meet the original deadline of Sunday, April 24. However, we felt a little rushed, and we could have definitely done a better job of planning ahead and setting checkpoints to ensure goals were being met on time. Some other problems that we encountered were some of the functions not working as intended. For example, for calculator, after testing it, we found that the factorial function was not working and always gave an answer of 1. Another example was that our timer function always counted up instead of counting down. Because of this, after testing and encountering the problem, we had to go back to the code, find the problem, and fix it.